A group of 20 world economies accepts African Union into their fold. Vice President Shettima inaugurates projects in Borno, plus more states distribute palliatives to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. These and more on today's Panorama. I am Zenret Dingmon. Thanks for joining us. The African Union has been granted permanent member status in the group of 20 top world economies. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi stated this as the host of this year's annual summit, which is part of the drive to give greater voice to the Global South. He made the announcement during his opening speech at the summit of the G20 currently going on in New Delhi, India. This is coming against the backdrop of the widespread support for adding the African Union to the G20, making it the second regional bloc to become a permanent member after the European Union. We now join our correspondent, Musbao Danwa. Now, the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badaru Abubakar, has reaffirmed the unwavering commitment of the present administration to fully support the armed forces and other security agencies in the renewed fight against insurgency in Nigeria. He stated this at the graduation of National Defense College course 31 participants in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
I hereby confer on you the fellowship of the Defense College.
With this brief symbolic ceremony, these 113 participants of the National Defense College, Course 31 2023, have been inducted as fellows of the prestigious institution.
These participants that are about to graduate today have been thoroughly furnished with all they require to make a huge difference in the society.
After a 49-week intensive training on evolving security challenges, these officers are prepared to tackle emerging state and regional security threats.
I have no doubt that the graduates of Course 31 will bring the knowledge, expertise and skill acquired during the course to bear in finding solutions to our security and developmental challenges in the future.
This course gave me a very different exposure, and it was quite helpful in understanding strategic issues which are faced by Nigeria and the West African region in particular. So when I go back to my country and I juxtapose this template on the issues which are faced by my country, maybe I have some solutions which I can suggest.
The course has enlightened us and broadened our knowledge on what it takes to be a strategic leader. So we now begin to view from the strategic lens what we are capable of doing or what we can contribute to the building of our nation.
21 of the participants are from 20 allied nations. From the National Defense College in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The federal government says it will soon unveil policies and programs that will touch the lives of the citizens, especially reducing poverty levels and stimulating economic growth. Vice President Kashim Shettima announced this in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, where he inaugurated projects executed by the state government to mark 100 days of office of Governor Babagana Umar Zulum in office, as part of his two-day engagement in the state. And the task of providing humanitarian intervention to victims of disasters is an onerous one and needs cooperation across board. This is not lost on the new helmsman at the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry, Dr. Betta Edu. So, in continuation of efforts towards sustaining humanitarian interventions across the country, she has entered into partnership with the Nigerian Air Force. This was part of her agenda when she paid a courtesy visit to the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, in Abuja. Ruth Aguele reports.
A warm reception to herald the presence of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation by the Quarter Guards of the Nigerian Air Force. Now time for business. First on the banner is how to strengthen partnership with the Nigerian Air Force in achieving the present administration's 8-point agenda towards reducing poverty in the country. For the ministry, support in all areas is required, especially in the area of smooth operations of humanitarian interventions to targeted beneficiaries.
You're quite aware that we have a good number of persons who are either internally displaced or they are refugees or migrants or persons of concern really, and their communities. Some of them are in areas where it's difficult to actually assess them. We will be seeking your support.
We view our role in military aid to civil authority not merely as a duty, but also as an opportunity to serve our fellow citizens.
The partnership is expected to renew the agenda towards renewed hope for Nigerians. In Abuja, Ruth Aguwele, NTA News.
Meanwhile, 500 families affected by violent conflicts in Mangu, Plateau State are to receive 1 million naira each, courtesy of the Renewed Hope initiative. The donation is to support the rebuilding of their homes destroyed during the conflict. Nigeria's First Lady and National Chairman of the initiative, Oluremi Tinubu, made this known during a meeting with wives of ministers at the Villa. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports.
On your mandate, Bola, on your mandate, we shall stand.
That is the mood when members of the Ministers' Wives Forum, led by a wife of the Minister of State for Petroleum, Oil, Susan Enikin Lokobiri, called on Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, in the State House to congratulate her on the recent victory of her husband, President Bola Tinubu, at the Presidential Elections Petitions Tribunal. They were also there to pledge their support for our pet project.
We will continue to support your dreams for Nigerians and to continually work behind the scene in supporting Mr. President's Renewed Hope agenda, making sure it succeeds beyond expectations of Nigerians, whether at home or in the diaspora.
The driving principle behind the Renewed Hope initiative is to turn lives around for families in Nigeria, and this is a duty that must be prioritized well and beyond the dictates of party politics.
Politics is over, so every state we want to really affect. We want to go in there because it's our state. Nigeria belongs to all of us. So when we want to begin politics, everybody will go back to their own tent. But right now, Nigeria is what is more important. It's more important than any party or any political affiliation.
From an initial projected number of 250, the number of affected families that will benefit from the 1 million naira donations by the Renewed Hope initiative is now put at 500.
They want to go back and rebuild. They want roofing sheets, nails, planks, and things to rebuild. So we thought, 1 million is justifiable enough from us. So we are appealing to other Nigerians to help.
While urging female spouses of office holders to gear up to support their husbands in their assigned tasks, the First Lady says her office is planning a capacity building workshop on protocol and security to aid their delivery. In the State House, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Kogi State Governor Yaya Bello has pledged to take decisive action against any local government official discovered diverting palliatives meant for the state's residents. The warning was issued through officials from the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, entrusted with the task of distributing essential provisions, including rice and grains, to representatives from the 21 local government areas. Correspondent Ajibola Christopher reports that these provisions donated by the state government are aimed at alleviating the impact of the fuel subsidy removal.
Amidst the challenges brought about by the removal of fuel subsidies, which have caused significant hardship for the citizens, the Kogi State government has initiated the distribution of 50 kg bags of rice and grains as part of government measures. These provisions are intended to reach the various wards within the state's 21 local government areas.
As it has been officially flagged up, we are here now for the distribution of rice to all the wards of the 21 local governments in Kogi State.
Governor Yaya Bello, in a message, noted that government intervention was born out of the hardship faced by the people and emphasized the importance, saying that it should not go unnoticed.
The governor is very, very passionate about it, that everybody at a various world level should experience government gesture.
The government views the subsidy removal as being in the best interest of the people and calls for patience, assuring that the government economic policies will lead to the growth and development. In Lokoja, Ajibola Christopher, NTA News.
We earlier told you that AU becomes a permanent member of G20. We now join our correspondent, Musbao Wahab, who is in New Delhi, to tell us more on this feat and the benefits for the AU. Hello, Musbao.
Hello, Zenright. Good to have you.
It's good to see you. Can you tell us what benefit does this have for the AU joining the G20?
There are a lot of benefits and potential yet for Africa, African Union and Africans indeed, because this is an opportunity to come to the big table, the global stage where big decisions have been taken. So they will not only be members of this great body, but we can also make contributions to issues that will affect them. Remember, G20 is a group that basically has to do with economic development, growth, how to solve challenges, global challenges relating to economic resilience, development that I mentioned earlier, financial resilience, as well as transnational security threats, and of course terrorism. So they will now be part of the body that will decide what to do, how to find common solution to the age-long challenges they have been facing. Remember, we have the likes of USA, Germany, UK, Brazil, Italy, and so on that are members of this G20 group. And now, for African Union to be a bloc represented on this stage, it will now mean we are now in the League of EU, that is already a member of a group to take this, to decide and take decisions that will affect African countries.
So, Musbao, what are we to expect as Africans?
Basically, what to expect is that now we can now have a say when there are issues that will determine our fate. It would not now be decided in our absence. African leaders can now meet together, form opinion, or come up with solutions that they think will fit the continent and not just being decided for. They can now say, okay, this is Africa. We're having fair share of global change on the continent, but these are the solutions that we are proffering. These are the things we think should be done. And terrorism as well. We should be able to come up with a homegrown solution to those challenges, and then bring to the global stage of G20 to make sure that the solutions they are proffering will not be the one that will be detrimental to the continents. Remember, they're still looking for solutions to climate change, and as we speak, the proportion of the contribution being demanded of Africans is a bit higher, and particularly President Bola Tinubu has said that any demand from Africa should be proportionate to the contribution African countries are making to the issues causing climate change. So now they can now decide on their own to say, this is what we want and this is how we want it.
Nice fit, I must say, Musbao. Thank you so much for your contribution to Panorama. We'll now take a break on Panorama. The program continues in a moment.
The Council of Our Fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Thanks for staying with us on Panorama. We now join Asmau in Sokoto for more on Panorama. Hello, Asmau.
Thanks, Zinret. Welcome to Panorama from Sokoto Network Center as the news continues from here. Governor Ahmed Aliyu has pledged to restore skills acquisition program initiated during Senator Wamoko's administration. The governor was speaking at the flag-off of distribution of SEMA relief materials for 2022 flood victims. Dalhat Abdullahi reports.
The relief materials that include water pumps, sewing and grinding machines, seeds, mats and mattresses, among others, were jointly provided by federal and Sokoto state governments for distribution to the 2022 flood victims. Governor Aliyu disclosed that the abandoned skills acquisition program will soon be revived for unemployed youth in the state to become self-reliant.
It is pertinent to add here that the Neighborhood Initiative Program, which introduced when I served as the State Commissioner of Social Welfare under Wamoko administration, would soon be revived.
Flagging off the distribution, APC National Chairman Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje said Governor Ahmed Aliyu's government is leading in the execution of developmental projects among his contemporaries.
What I have said in Sokoto today, I think we are here for development and development in the next 4 years, inshallah.
Some of the beneficiaries expressed gratitude. In another development, Governor Ahmed Aliyu led the former governor of Kano State to inaugurate Abarchi and Nagamas roads in Sokoto metropolis. The APC national chairman said Governor Ahmed Aliyu is strategic even before his declaration as winner at the polls, describing him as visionary toward making life of his people better. He applauded the governor's commitment and said it conforms with APC manifestos and such projects have multiplier effects on the socio-economic development of the people. He urged the road users not to misuse it. Governor Ahmed Aliyu said the road projects are just the beginning. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And now to our discussion segment, which is on food security, and I have with me in the studios Professor M.D. Magaji from Faculty of Agriculture, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. Sir, you're welcome to Panorama.
Thank you very much.
Harvesting of farm produce has commenced in some parts of the north. What is your assessment of food security prospects in the north?
Well, luckily, the first staple crop of millet has been harvested, but there are several other species: sorghum, cowpea, rice, mewa millet, maize, and the rest of them. But the yields have been low in some places, and they've been okay in other places. Intermittent drought during the growth and development of the crops has led to low yields. Inconsistency in the rainfall pattern at planting time also brought about poor yields. For example, I'm a subsistence farmer. Last year, I sowed my crop once. This year, I had to sow twice. So I don't expect as much yield this year as I got last year. Yes.
Okay, sir. For average farmer, especially in states like Sokoto and Zamfara states, will what they have produced be able to feed them?
Well, it's hard to say, but yes, it might. It might not. It all depends on what the rest of the season actually has in store for them. Usually the first crop of millet, it welcomes the long dry season, and it is the first crop to be used, the first crop to be sold to solve some problems, and some has to be stored for the long dry season. Some has to be sold to be able to solve, off-farm problems. Usually at every harvest, farmers marry off their daughters and their sons. Some of them sell their produce to pay debts that they incurred even for the planting season. Some of them buy livestock to keep and fatten. Some of them, as a matter of fact, sell their produce to prepare for the dry season farming, which is also very profitable.
Okay, sir, so what can you say are the challenges to food security, especially here in the north?
Very many challenges, madam. The most important challenge has been insecurity. Farmers are scared stiff of going out to their farms. In fact, they're even scared stiff of raising livestock. That is one. Secondly, the unprecedented high prices of petroleum products has made farm inputs very, very expensive. I found, for example, I had to buy one bag of fertilizer, NPK 2010, for upward 20,000, which used to sell for about 6,000 last year. So that's a big challenge, very big challenge. Now this means that farmers who are not able to apply the required doses of fertilizers recommended for their crops. That is one. Two, the cost of labor has also shot up. Last year, I was paying 1,000 per Monday per person. This year, I was paying 2 and sometimes even 3, especially during the labor bottleneck when farmers were taking care of their own problems on their farms. So a lot of problems. Thirdly, I have noticed over the years, politicization of agricultural inputs. They don't get to farmers, they don't get real practicing farmers. Politicians get the allocations. They sell these allocations, to the market, and the farmers go and buy them very expensively. They cannot buy them. They can't, in fact, farmers this year could not use inorganic fertilizers on their farms. So you should expect low yields, definitely. Yes.
Okay, there are also activities of middlemen who buy off farm produce. How does this affect the food security? Very, very much, because these middlemen take advantage of the fact that farmers must sell at harvest for the obvious reasons that we mentioned earlier on. And so they go to the villages, they buy the crops at farm gate prices, very cheap. And then they can store them. They hoard, hoping that in the course of time the prices will increase, and they do increase, and then they sell and make huge profits. Yes. Okay, sir, so what should be done to tackle the situation? Well, we should stem the tide of the challenges. First of all, I plead with government to please give production inputs to those that deserve to be given. Please give them to farmers. Ours, fortunately, is zonal agriculture officer before I came to Usman University, Sokoto. And I was distributing fertilizers. And in those days, we used to sell fertilizers either at the district heads' palaces or at farm service centers. And only farmers were getting the fertilizers. Okay, sir, and thank you so much for having time to be on Panorama this afternoon. Thank you. I have been talking with Professor M.D. Magaji from the Faculty of Agriculture, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. He has been talking to us on food security. And now to sports update. Okay, that's it on Panorama this afternoon from Sokoto Network Center. I am Asma Habibu Shair Bagari. Do have a pleasant afternoon.